Hi, this is Billie Beene here with a Truth by Billie Beene update. The date is November 24, 2024, time in Texas, about 11 a.m. We've had 2 earthquakes off the coast of Oregon, Bandon, Oregon, both one about 6 miles deep and another one about 9 miles deep. We have this report coming out. National Hurricane Center is not reporting any tropical development, but some weather forecasters are predicting another tropical system in the Caribbean, possibly to be named Tony. So we'll have to watch out for that. And we have this. Some of the things I'll cover is a rogue U.S. military and a rogue U.S. government colluding in a possible coup to overthrow the U.S. government and take us to World War III? Let's see. And U.S. cities with the potential to be targets for Russian nukes. Should the rogue U.S. military and government take us to World War III? Some of my sources are God in the Bible, Patriot, Subscriber, Steve Quayle's Aggregate site, TAGTIK, Science Times, Moon of Alabama, Scott Ritter, Martin Armstrong, Breitbart, New York Times article by Charlie Gasparino. And we have this. I have a Patriot subscriber in Levy County, Florida, who says the weather there is 36 degrees. Say it isn't so in the great sunshine state of Florida. I have a Patriot subscriber talking about that information I put out last night. New for me, at first time, a 10 p.m. video talking about Janet Yellen and Jerome Powell, head of the Treasury and Fed, evacuating the U.S. and going to Dubai where there is not extradition. I said, well, I guess they can say hello to the Obamas. So my Patriot subscriber says no extradition doesn't mean there can't be extraction by special forces. I like that. And we have this. President Trump has nominated another individual to be Secretary of Agriculture from Texas, Brooke Rollins. She had served with President Trump in his first formal term as an economic advisor, and since 2020 in Texas, she has been the founder and CEO of a group, American First Policy Institute. So another woman on President Trump's cabinet, and another person from Texas. And we have this, TechLit. Okay, so we have things going on in, so we have Ukraine, Russia, Germany. Now, it's believed that Russia launched their intermediate ICBM, a modified version of an RS-26, now called by some sources RS-24. So the ICBM Russia launched Wednesday night on the town of Dnipro in Ukraine and turned its target areas into dust. So Russia launched that intermediate ICBM Wednesday night in response to information it had found out about a secret NATO plan. And more details are coming out that through Russia will flow 800,000 NATO troops and up to 200 pieces of military equipment over the next 3 months. So, I don't know how this will come to fruition, because during this time frame, President Trump will firmly be back in the saddle, And I believe President Trump reflects the will of the American people, which is no war. But this is coming out, a NATO plan. So Russia launched that intermediate ICBM in response to secret NATO plans it found out. And this is a part of it. And the German government is also keeping it secret from the German people. This is how rogue governments operate. And we have this. Russia identifies NATO, mostly the U.S. military bases in Poland, as a potential next target. So we have Ukraine, we've got Poland, and Poland has a new U.S. military base near Kaliningrad along the Baltic Sea coast. And this is, it's called Red Zykov QUAYLE, okay, a Polish base on the coast of the Baltic Sea. Russia has identified this as a potential next target for its second intermediate ICBM. And we have this, where there is a U.S. military base located in Poland. And London also authorizes the Storm Shadow. That makes, according to some military analysts, London also become a target for Russia strikes, along with many U.S. cities. So that's going on. And we have this from the Mirror. Russian Ambassador Andrei Keelin warns the U.S. and the UK could be in World War III, and that World War III may be imminent. And we have this. This comes after the U.S. and UK authorize ATACMS and Storm Shadow missiles to be fired from Ukraine into Russia, which requires the U.S. military to launch. And the Russian ambassador states this is a dangerous escalation. So that's going on. And we have this. Scott Ritter put out some information in a post he did last night. I believe that was on Telegram, talking about the Russian intermediate ICBM called Oreshnik. In English, this means hazelnut, an RS-24, a modified version of the RS-26. And Russia released in response to the U.S. guiding missiles from inside Ukraine to inside Russia. Now, this is new information for me, that Russia has also brought out and demonstrated the intermediate ICBM Oreshnik, or hazelnut, in response to the U.S. military bringing forth its hypersonic missile called Dark Eagle, which mirrors the capabilities of the Oreshnik. So that's new information. So the U.S. military has Dark Eagle, which can also strike inside Russia, and for which Russia would have no defense. And we have this, going back and forth with authorizing Storm Shadow and ATACMS. We had Tony Blinken involved. We had the Foreign Secretary from the UK, Lammy, involved. We have the actor posing as the President of the United States, JB, and the UK Starmer, who I understand is despised by the UK people, allegedly trying to get us into World War III. And we have this. Yes, we heard that statement by U.S. strategic planners for the U.S. military, Rear Admiral Buchanan, that the U.S. would engage in a limited nuclear exchange with Russia. And I put forth, this demonstrates a rogue U.S. military and a rogue U.S. government. Outside the scope of the Constitution, Congress, and the will of the American people, certain rogue individuals inside the U.S. military and the U.S. government are trying to take the U.S. into World War III. It is rogue, and it smacks of a potential coup overthrow of the U.S. government. So that's going on. The question is, which U.S. cities will be hit? And the U.S. plan, according to Scott Ritter, is that the rogue U.S. military would engage in a preemptive nuclear strike on Russia, outside the Constitution, outside Congress, and outside the okay of the American people. Now, Science Times put out a good video. I'll link that for you. And it demonstrates just a small nuke exploding over New York City, and brings this out that the Satan II Sarmat, that's the real big boy, the RS-28 for Russia, which can only be launched from land, travels at Mach 20, carries 15 MIRVs, or independent targeting, each 15 to 50 megatons. So that's much, much larger than the ones that hit Japan in World War II. Moon of Alabama puts this out. Here, an individual reporting from inside the UK, here, people are being told to stock up 1 week of food. I submit Martin Armstrong of Armstrong Economics came out within the last 2 years with information from Armstrong Economics predictive software, Socrates, that said to stock food for 2 years. So, and we have the mainstream media inside the U.S. not putting forth accurate information about the Oreshnik hazelnut, Russia's very dangerous intermediate ICBM. Yeah, the American people will be the last to hear about a threat to the U.S. We just won't tell the American people. Otherwise, the American people would be in the streets protesting. We don't want war. Now, this is coming out. This is coming from one source, a remote viewer. Potential targets for Russia should the rogue U.S. military and the rogue U.S. government put forth a preemptive strike nuke strike on Russia. Russia would respond. What are some of the American cities that are likely targets? New York City, Philadelphia, PA, Washington, D.C. for sure, Atlanta, Georgia, many cities in Florida, Pensacola, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, Tampa, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Chicago, Illinois, Nashville, Tennessee, Louisville, Kentucky, and Texas, Dallas, Houston, and most likely Pantech's plant in Amarillo, Texas, and Dias U.S. military plant U.S. military base inside Texas, California, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Las Vegas, Denver, Colorado, Seattle, Portland. This would destroy the U.S. But at the same time, do we take solace in knowing that the U.S. would also take down many cities in Russia? This is called MAD, M-A-D, mutually assured destruction. Russia would destroy the U.S. would destroy Russia. What does that gain the people of America or the people of Russia? People in America, in Europe, and Russia don't want war. So that's going on. And now, I'll bring this out. This comes from a Facebook friend. I had a dream. President Trump was sitting alone on a church pew praying. My enemies did their best to kill me, but the Lord rescued me. The Lord is my strength and my song, from Psalms 118. So I believe it's good to pray for America, President Trump, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.